What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one, I'll break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening to the market so far and some very important levels to watch for as time goes on. I'm going to break down why there's going to likely be some interesting volatility coming to the markets as we have the FOMC minutes happening in just over an hour from now. I'm going to break down some important levels to watch for as we get closer to the event. Before I break down all this information, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla in the markets, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So what's going on with Tesla? In the morning, we saw Tesla, pulling back a little bit. It was just testing this trend line. I told you that if Tesla broke this trend line and ended up just holding below it without getting bought back up, right, we would see this thing just continue to sink. If we manage to see buyers step in, we could see Tesla try to break out. And if Tesla broke this blue trend line right here, right, if we broke above this, this is when you're going to turn bullish. And Tesla made a nice move from 237, that's where this trend line was, all the way up to about 242.5. And the reason why it was weak in the morning, then got this sudden like big push as soon as we opened, was because some news came out. First off, one of its executives has stated that Tesla is planning on delivering 10 Cybertrucks during the launch event, which is good news for them, at least in terms of hype and in terms of the way investors are going to view Tesla. Just for the short term, this could lead to some euphoria, some excitement, and such. And on top of that, we got even more bullish news because the Chinese registrations just came out, and we saw 16,000 plus of them, which is good news for Tesla. That's a 28% week over week increase. That's another good piece of news for Tesla. And once again, many reports are suggesting that Tesla could be on track to meeting their 1.8 million delivery target, which is amazing news for Tesla. I'm very excited to see how this is going to come out. We'll be watching this very, very carefully. But now, at least for like the very, very short term, we have some news coming out that could affect the whole markets, including Tesla. The news right here is going to be the FOMC minutes coming out at 2 o'clock p.m. This is in Eastern Standard Time. So this is just over an hour from now at the time I'm recording this. This is going to be important because we're going to find out more about the Fed's policies, the opinions of different Fed officials, what the Fed's projected target rate is going to be, and other important factors about their policy and how they view monetary policy for now. So this could cause some volatility in the markets. Make sure you're prepared for that just to be safe. Then after the market closes today, we have Nvidia's earnings. I just want to warn you guys that the market's only going to be open for a few more hours, right? It's going to be closing in about 3 hours from now at the time I'm recording this. This is going to be your last chance to exits different positions to get out if you don't want to hold overnight, because if you do hold overnight, you're going to be holding through Nvidia's earnings. Now, if you hold Nvidia overnight, you could still make crazy money. There's definitely a lot of potential to make insane gains off of it, and I'm not going to stop anyone or give any financial advice for that matter about that, but I just want to note that there is some risk when holding overnight, and I want you guys to be prepared for that just to be safe. When it comes to Nvidia, by the way, implied volatility is really hot right now. So there's going to likely be an IV crush. We're going to see implied volatility drop, leading to premiums dropping too. So to make money, you're going to likely need to see a big move in the share price for that to happen. I will be talking about that in just a few minutes. Right now, let's just focus on Tesla. How is Tesla looking? Thanks to the good news from China and also one of the Tesla executives, we saw Tesla push all the way up to about 243. A very, very nice move. And then since then, it's been stuck between basically 240 to 243 cents, trading sideways and getting very tight. All right. So if we get a very big push thanks to the FOMC minutes, we could be forming a potential push all the way back up towards 245 plus. If we get a drop thanks to the FOMC minutes, we could see Tesla retest this trend line, come back down to 238. This could be forming a cup and handle, so the technicals are looking a bit more bullish, but just to be safe, let's not solely worry about technicals. Let's focus on what's going to happen with the minutes, and that could cause some volatility, not to mention Nvidia's earnings after market close. All right, so we'll be watching this very carefully to see how it looks and be prepared for Nvidia's earnings. That's going to be very telling for how the market's moving. I just want to call out one quick thing on SPX before I talk about some other ETFs and stocks. On SPX, we have this daily charts. We have this trend line that's going to be very important on the daily. Even the weekly shows it. So just so you know, we're still technically respecting this, and this is where we have this top. I think I drew this out for the weekly. I think that's why it looks a little bit off. On the weekly, it should be close. But anyways, we're basically super close to where this trend line was. Going back to the weekly chart right here. So, with Nvidia's earnings and the FOMC minutes, it's going to be a make or break for this chart. Are we going to see the market break out and try to break this trend line, or is the market about to reject off the trend line and come back down just a bit for a temporary pullback? We'll just have to wait and see. Nvidia is going to likely be the reason, or a very, very big market moving event. That could affect this and that could help determine what's about to happen. So looking at the hourly on SPY, we could see something very interesting. Let me just fix up this chart. We're basically getting very, very tight. We're making attempts to rebound a bit, but we're going to be watching this trend line. So we broke below our trend line of supports where we had this uptrend and we came right back up after bouncing off 452. If we're bearish after the minutes, watch for a 452 retest. If we're bullish, watch it push higher. Right now, it's looking a little more bullish. It's trying to push up higher. We're going to be seeing if this gap could fill up to almost 454. But then after that, it all depends on the minutes and Nvidia's earnings. If we're very bullish, you want to see it break 455. If we're bearish, you want to see it lose 452. For now, it's trying to push up higher, but just wait and see what happens after the minutes come out and wait and see if it can break this blue trend line. So watch this all very carefully. We're at resistance right now. Be very, very mindful of that, and we'll just have to see how it goes with the minutes coming out in about an hour. For the QQQ, we have something similar developing. We have quite a gap that formed on it. We're going to be watching this 388.5 resistance right here. Also have 388.8 as two tight resistance zones before we get closer to like 389. Right now, we're just kind of trading flats in the 388s. We'll see if this thing gets a rug pull. The bigger thing that's going to affect this, in my opinion, is not going to be the minutes, but it's going to be Nvidia's earnings. The minutes could cause this thing to move 1 or 2 points to the upside or the downside. If we're bullish after the minutes come out, we could get very close to 390. If we're bearish, we could come down towards 386. Then it's all going to come down to Nvidia's earnings. If Nvidia launches this up higher, we could come up to fill this gap and see this thing retest 391 plus and start pushing higher. If Nvidia causes the rug pull, we're going to see this thing drop towards 385 or even below that. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. So don't forget about Nvidia's earnings after close. For Nvidia specifically, we got a nice push up yesterday testing the 500s. Then we saw 506 during the pre-market, and since then it's been very flat. We've been stuck pretty much between we did come down just for one instance today before coming back up. For the most part, we've been stuck between 495 and 500, very tight, and we're just waiting for earnings to determine what the real move is going to be. The minutes could cause some, small volatility on Nvidia. If we're bullish after the minutes, we could see 500 being retested, 498 to 500. If we're bearish, you're going to be watching for 495 to break and a retest of 492 and then 490 below that. Now the chart is looking like it's very indecisive right now, so I can't really promise anything. But earnings are basically anticipating a very, very big move. Wall Street's expecting a big move. We might see this thing launch up into new all-time highs if we get some bullish earnings with good guidance. If it's the opposite, we can see this thing sink quite a bit and it's going to affect the whole market. So we'll be watching this very, very carefully. With that being said, looking at Tesla, not Tesla, once again, I just want to note one more thing about it. Tesla is going to be impacted by Nvidia as well. So I forgot to mention that the minutes that come out could affect Tesla, but even if Tesla pumps or doesn't, don't worry too much about that. Nvidia is also going to affect Tesla, so watch for high volatility thanks to that. And finally, we have Apple stock. When it comes to Apple is once again starting to downtrend a bit, and we're going to be watching this new resistance that has formed. So we can actually draw out a trend line right here and just like draw out this zone of resistance. We're going to be watching that very carefully. And we have this other trend line. So I'm going to repaint this, make this maybe yellow. We have this yellow trend line that's going to be acting as our resistance alongside the blue one. We have two resistance levels to be watching for. If we push higher, watch this resistance here. The next level is going to be this yellow trend line. It's all going to be very close to about 191. If anything, Apple's looking like it's getting very tight. It dropped quite a bit. It's on a slight downtrend. If we're bearish after either the FOMC minutes or Nvidia's earnings, anticipate it's going to come down below 185. For bullish, you want to see it break above 191 and close above that. If we do so, we could push back up to fill this gap and make our way back up to 191.5 and potentially even 192 plus. In my opinion, we're going to rebound a bit, but we're going to be watching for a big move after the minutes are released. And then Nvidia's earnings is going to be the bigger determiner of whether or not Apple continues pushing or not. I think the whole market is going to follow a similar trend. So we'll be watching this. And with that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, and I hope that this intraday video update was helpful. All right, thanks again, guys, and peace out.